Well, Bob, anything else new and exciting that you think we should bring out to our listeners?
Well, I find it been interesting that China and India have asked the IMF to sell its entire holdings of gold to raise money for funding poor nations. Now, I never knew that.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're going to be back here in just a moment with Bob Chapman. Well, this is Dr. Stan, and Bob Chapman was just saying that China and India had recently asked the IMF to sell all of its gold holdings so that money could be given to poor nations. Now, Bob was beginning to say he never knew that China and India were that really worried about the other poor nations in the world, and I just wonder if maybe they want to get their hands on the IMF gold. Did that thought cross your mind, Bob?
Oh, of course. And, China has killed 1 billion of their own people since 1948. Useless eaters, and of course they've had a ceiling on how many children people can have. A very despotic, repressive society run by a bunch of murderers. And India has an oligarchy and that controls the money in that country. And so why would they be worried about what's going on in other poor countries when they get plenty of problems at home? But you're right. The IMF has holdings of about $100 billion and that are pledged to them. And China and India want the gold. It's as simple as that. And they're going to dump their dollars on the IMF in order to get the gold that the IMF has been pledged. And so that's really what they're after. They want to get rid of their dollars.
And I'm sure this is absolutely right. Of course, we know that China has suddenly begun stockpiling strategic metals like copper and nickel and steel and iron, the things that you would need in preparation for a war. Everybody says, of course, they're doing this so it will facilitate production down the line. I think they're preparing for war. I think they know the war is coming. They just can't let the American people know that. Well, Bob, before we get any further, I want you to get out your telephone number, your website, so people will know how they can get in touch with you. And we want to mention, if you're out there in the listening audience, you'd like to give us a call. Our number is 1-888-24-LIBERTY, 1-888-24-LIBERTY, or 464-8295, right here at Radio Liberty. Bob, why don't you get the number and the website out?
And if you'd like to get a free introductory copy of the International Forecaster, and which we publish twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays via email. It runs around 35 pages each time. It's about business, finance, economic, social, and political issues. Or if you'd like a hard copy, which we send out twice a month to our subscribers that are not on the Internet, you can go to our site on the Internet, and that address is theinternationalforecaster.com. The International, Forecaster.com. You can email us at bob@intforecaster.com. Bob, B-O-B, at intforecaster.com, or you can call toll-free 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188.
Well, it's very interesting. Somebody from San Diego, Craig from San Diego, just called in and said that he understands that as of the year 2010, the new legislation is going to go into effect where credit card interest can't go over between 9.9 and 17%. Right now, it can go up to 35%. So why are they waiting a year before they restrict the ability of the banksters to take our money away in the form of interest on credit cards? Why don't they do it right now? I mean, certainly they can authorize all this money right now. They can come up with all the spending right now. Why can't they limit the interest on credit cards right now? Because I think that 35% interest rate on a credit card is immoral, but then I think that 17% is just as immoral. They got the people into it by offering 1% or 3% or nothing for 60 days. It was all a scam to get people, to overspend and spend and spend and get them into debt. And then they raised the interest rates to 36%. I think that's a little scary. And the fact that the Congress is going to do something about it next year. Why don't they do it this year, Bob?
Well, it's a political issue, and they want to have that thing passed just before the election, so that it'll have a major impact, and that it was a Democrat idea in this formulation, and it's just purely political. They could care less about the average citizen who's paying these outrageous interest rates, and it's a racket. It's rotten. They're crooks, and my feeling on credit cards is this: don't have them. No, I don't have any, but even those who do have them only use them for an item or two once a month to keep them live, pay it off, which 45% of people do pay off each month the money that they owe on the cards, and leave it at that. Don't oblige these people. The first thing I tell people to do when I look at their portfolio and their pluses and minuses, when I see credit card debt, I said, that goes first.
Amen to that. Well, somebody had called in and said that they wondered if you were implying they should get rid of their Swiss gold coins. Would you like to address that?
Well, why would they do that?
Well, because you were talking about, of course, getting out of Swiss bonds, and I think
it has
they're
nothing
confusing.
to do with Swiss francs.
I know, of course it does.
Or Swiss bonds, which
right.
are issued by the Swiss government.
Right, and so Swiss coins
are gold.
Right.
There's about 0.233 or something like that in each coin, a little over a fifth of an ounce or something in that vicinity, and you keep them.
Amen to that. Okay, let's go.
Any gold coins you've got, you keep them.
Well, let's go
the only time you change gold coins if you want to upgrade.
Okay. Our telephone number is 1-888-24-LIBERTY, 1-888-24-LIBERTY. Our guest is Bob Chapman, and we have Craig calling in from San Diego. Hi, Craig. How are you doing?
Hi, Dr. Stan. Hi, Bob. I just want to clarify something on this credit card issue. What happened was I received a notice from my card company that my interest rate was going from 9.9 to 17.9 in 2010 for no apparent reason other than they can. And I'm just wondering if Bob's heard of this across the board, if he's seen or heard of credit card interest rates just being arbitrarily adjusted upwards because they're losing so much money, and what kind of impact that's going to have on the overall society when people are depending so much on their credit cards.
Well, it's already begun. You're not the first one. They're all doing it, and that's why legislation's coming.
And basically, Craig, we have a city Visa card, and the interest rate on that, if we don't pay it off, is over 30%. I think my wife said 33 to 36% on our Visa credit card. So we have to pay it off every month. We can't afford to pay that amount of interest. And we have to have our credit cards because, of course, we do a mail order business. But I share your concern. Obviously, they're going to get every a bit of blood they can out of the turnips, and we're going to be squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. These banks are not hurting for money. They've got lots of money. And they can create money out of nothing. People don't understand. This is the miracle of banking. They create money. They have $1, and by fractional reserve, they have $10. But it's all about profits, not about, helping people. So if I were you, I'd simply look around for another credit card company and tell them where they can go.
Well,
okay?
Personally, I'm not so worried about it because I do the same thing. I pay them off. But I'm just concerned that this is another shoe that's going to drop because people cannot use their homes as piggy banks anymore. And now they're forced to use credit. Now the credit card rates are going up, and it's going to have a further impact on the economy.
I mean, I share your concern. Any thoughts on it, Bob, before we let Craig go?
Well, Meredith Whitney came out over the weekend, and she used to be with Oppenheimer, and of course they probably forced her out because she really pulled the plug on the conspiracy 2 years ago in June, when she said, hey, Citibank is not worth $36 a share. I think it's worth $16, and this is why. Well, essentially, they're broke. She didn't say that, but she implied that. Now, she came out and said their losses on credit cards are running around 10%, and they're going to get a lot worse. It's one of the reasons that the market folded today. And, we got a few people who've got some guts who will stand there and fight and tell the truth. But most of Wall Street are just people who are there to make money. They don't care about anything else. I spent 28 years there. I know exactly where they're coming from. I know how they do what they do. And this whole house card's coming down.
Amen to that. Hey, thanks very much, Craig. And let's go to Dan, who's calling us from Pennsylvania. Hi, Dan. What part of Pennsylvania?